Reach for growth, reach for more. Performance marketing, hardcore. Tune in, listen, hear the lore. Reach for growth.
There is no online business can run without data. That's why in this episode, we will go deep into understanding the data from infrastructure to CDP, data warehouse, data lakes, and finally to building a data-driven culture within the company. I'm pleased to have here with me Khaled Thabit. He's the Director of Data Engineering at Property Finder with over 17 years of experience serving clients such as Attire Group, Oracle, and Orange. Khaled, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Gamal. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and I'm quite excited to join you today to discuss all these buzzwords about data lakes and data warehouses and so on.
Yeah, me too. So what is data lake?
Oh, wow. We start directly with
Yeah.
what is data lake.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a step back and start before data lakes, because data lakes is where we are, almost where we are now. But it all started with databases. So database is, you can think of a database like an Excel sheet. It's structured data where you know exactly what are the columns you have in the sheet, and then you keep adding rows to those or to this sheet. So the database is used to run businesses for a long period of time. Okay, and it's usually what we call transactional data stores, which means you use it to run your transactions, you run your business. So if you are a retailer, you do your sales on databases. So whenever a new customer comes, buy a product, then you enter a record in the database saying that this customer bought this product at this time. And then with time, okay, the need came to find a more advanced tool that can help us run quick analytics. So as of now, okay, I'm running my store and I'm doing my sales. Now I want to know how many products I sold over the last months, okay? And then over the last year, and then last year against the year before it, how my business is growing and so on. And this is when databases became a bit short. It's not built to serve this. So this is when data warehouses were introduced. And data warehouse is similar to a database with one key difference. And I'm trying to be as simple as possible.
Yes, please.
Not to use any technical terms. And if I use any, please stop me and ask me for clarification. So data warehouse is similar to a database, but it's built with a main focus on analytical reporting, okay? Being able to run all the reports the business need in a performant way and in a cost-effective way, okay? And then over time, our life grown to be even more complicated, and the data is not only structured anymore. Think of your photos, think of the feeds, think of logs, think of all customer behavior on your app or on your web. All this data is now very hard to maintain in a structured way. In an Excel sheet, you cannot do that. So this is when data lakes were introduced. So a data lake is more of a data store, okay? It's a store where you can store any kind of data, whether it's structured like tables, Excel sheets, stuff like this, or unstructured like media files, photos, feeds, even logs, whatever you need, okay? And from data lakes, then you can leverage the data the way you want. Now, it's quite obvious that data lakes is not as simple as data warehouse. So how to use data lakes to run your analytics, this is where data engineering is even more required than in data warehouses in order to make the data useful and usable by business.
And how is then data lake is different than a customer data platform or CDP? We often hear that CDP is becoming, and businesses, some cases they have a data lake and also they want to have a CDP, while in fact there is overlap between the two.
Yes, this is a very good question. So a data lake is a generic data lake where you store all the data you need to store, okay? Whether it's customer related or finance related or business related or product marketing, whatever data you need. While CDP is a customer data platform, it's focused only on customer data. The main use case for a CDP is to collect all the data about the customer and to build what we may call a 360 view of a customer. Everything is around the customer, okay? So the customer is on the center of everything, and then all your data is just layers linked to the customer. And CDP is usually mostly used in marketing teams, okay? Because you use that for targeting your audience, retargeting, for personalization, recommendation, whatever use cases you need to run, you can run through the CDP.
Yeah, so in a simple way, what I understood is that you can still have a data lake and have a CDP on the same time.
Yes, and you can have both in one data lake. So in your data lake, you can have a CDP as well, okay? Which means a data lake is, again, it's a data store. And CDP is data being stored in a specific structure. So you can have this data as part of your data lake, okay? So one of the key reasons also why CDP was evolved as a separate term is because it's quite a complicated data set to build, okay? Because it's consumes or it needs lots of data from different sources. And usually building this in your own data lake is quite a complicated job, okay? So let's say maybe around 10 years ago, if I remember correctly, this term was first introduced, and it was introduced as a packaged solution, as a solution that you can buy and deploy in your business and use it, okay, as a solution, similar to your Excel, similar to any solution that you buy and use, okay? And then with time, it also started to evolve as well, okay? From just being a packaged solution that's like a black box. You just put data from one side and receive data from the other side. You don't know what's happening inside. With the complexity of businesses started to need to understand what's happening inside and also to involve or to be involved in what's happening inside this black box. And this is when new terms were introduced, like, for example, in-house CDP, where you build your own in your data lake, or composable CDP, where you actually, like, it's like, think of it as a Lego. You buy a few bricks from here and build a few bricks from there and then build your CDP.
Okay, so like before going deeper into the CDP point, I like that you always mention that data lakes is basically a store of data, right?
Yes.
So if I am a business and I can be a very small business, like running one shop to a big retailer, how then can I choose between having a data lake now in 2025 or maybe data warehouse? Because I think when it comes to price, there is big difference when it comes to the price between the two. And also when it comes to, there is a lot of capabilities that I might not be needing it if I'm just a small business.
Yes, this is a very good question. And it always starts with, what do I need to solve for? Okay, so as a business, what do I want to achieve? Okay, again, I might be a small business, a super small business, but my use case is requiring a data lake, okay? Because the potential for this business, for it to grow at the pace I want it to grow at, I want to have some use cases that will be only powered by a data lake, okay? Or vice versa, okay? And by the way, cost, there is no, you can build a data lake cheaper than a data warehouse, and vice versa as well. It's all coming down to what do you want to solve for, okay? So I'll give you an example. I have a small digital shop and I'm selling some products there. However, my main focus, my main business use case is personalization. Okay, I want every single consumer that comes to my shop to feel that it's his own shop. It's completely personalized for him. So in that case, I need to collect all the data I can collect about this customer in real time. I need to understand which photos he likes, which products he enjoys, what kind of angles he likes to look at the product from. Every single thing I need to know about him, and I need to do that in real time. Okay, so for this use case, I have to use a data lake with a very expensive, doesn't have to be very expensive, but quite an expensive real-time, let's say, data pipes or data flows, okay, in order to serve the main cause of my business, which is getting the consumer to feel that this is his own website. Okay. So on the other side, I might be just a traditional e-com. Okay, I don't need all this complication. I just need to collect only my sales, the products, the inventory, and so on, and then a data warehouse, a small or even a database can be sufficient for my use case.
I guess this is very interesting because maybe it's counterintuitive as well, because when you think about choosing between the data lake and data warehouse, you might think about checking the specification first or understanding what I'm going to get with this money versus what I'm going to get with this money. But what I'm getting from you is the first step is to write down your use case. What are you going to buy this solution for? And to try to focus what is your non-negotiable in terms of what I'm getting. So what's your pros and cons when it comes to deciding the use cases for your data lake or data warehouse?
So deciding the use case starts with a very basic question. Okay, first is what is the business I'm doing? Okay, what are the targets that I want to achieve? Target can be sales, can be traffic, can be leads, can be whatever. Okay, and what are the ways I'm going to use in order to measure those targets to see how I'm progressing against my target. Okay, these are the first set of questions that you need to answer. Okay. And then right after that, how often do I want to measure these KPIs, okay, or these targets? Do I want to measure it once a month or once a week or even every minute, okay? Then you keep asking all kinds of questions that you as a business owner might ask or might be asked in future, okay? And try to build some sort of a list of use cases and list of questions that you need to answer with this solution. Then once you have this list, then you start evaluating your technical options, okay? And there is hundreds of ways to do everything, okay? So usually you start with maybe evaluating 2-3 options. And then what I'm always recommending is to run what we can call a proof of concept or a pilot, okay? Let me test it. Okay, so I'll test those 2 or 3 solutions and I'll see what's best for me. What's simpler, what's giving me more value, what's more cost effective, what's giving me better time to value, whatever. And then based on that, I take my decision. And by the way, like data lakes and data warehouses, as of now, there is the line between data lakes and data warehouses is fading. There is actually a new concept called data lakehouse. And data lakehouse is actually a merge of a data lake and a data warehouse, because in any modern business as of now, you need both. You cannot use one of them and ignore the other, because data is growing significantly, okay? If you think 10 years ago only, we were talking data in what, like gigabytes, terabytes. Now we are talking petabytes and even more, okay? So we are collecting way more data now, okay? And we need to be able to store those data and to process this data as well. It's not only about storing, okay? So this is why the new concept of data lakehouse is, as of now, serving these kind of business needs.
Okay, so is data lakehouse then a data lake with better storing capability?
A data lakehouse is, you can think of it as a data lake with a data warehousing layer. And a data warehousing layer means that, so what's the key difference between a data warehouse and data lake? Data lake, you don't care about data structures much. You just care about storing the data and making it or storing it in a way that can be easily retrievable and can be easily used. It's not just about dumping the data, because you can dump the data and then you never find it again, okay? Or you never find what you need from this data again. So this is data lake, while data warehouse is more about structuring the data to run your analytics need, your reporting, to answer your business questions, okay? And there is lots of new use cases from data as we speak. Like, for example, AI, okay? So AI is fully dependent on data, okay? Sure. It doesn't need the data from a data warehouse. It doesn't need aggregated data. It doesn't need answers to a specific questions. It needs the raw data, the actual data. It needs to dig deeper into the data to find insights that you will not be able to find through the regular reporting tools you have. So Gen AI, again, similar use case, okay? So there there is lots of complications and not lots of new and added use cases every day on data. So this is why merging both together can be the solution for lots of businesses.
Okay, makes sense. And if we move now a little bit into like the CDP, because I can see now a lot of CRM platform providers, they try to pivot into being a CDP as well.
Yes.
And how can decision makers think about this?
Okay, so CDP, again, you start with the use case. What I'm trying to achieve. Because CDP is an expensive tool. If you go to packaged CDP or even in-house CDP, if you want to build your own, it's an expensive tool. Why? Because you need to run it in real time. You need to understand what's happening with each consumer at every single point of time. Okay, so it's not an easy tool to maintain or to introduce to business. So you always need to start with why I need it, how I'm going to use it, and what kind of value I'm going to get out of it. Okay, and then based on this, again, go back to the regular practice of, okay, what are my options? So we spoke about three main categories when it comes to CDP: packaged CDP, in-house CDP, or composable CDP, where you leverage both. Okay, evaluate the three. Okay, what's the pros and cons for each of them? How each of them will serve my business? And then let's say, yeah, I'll choose composable CDP. And then with composable CDP, okay, there is multiple options, tools, multiple ways to build in-house. There is multiple approaches. Again, evaluate, okay, find the pros and cons, do your tests, do your analysis, and find the solution and the answer yourself. There is no answer that will fit every single business, okay? And this is the whole idea. If there is one answer that will fit every single business, then you will find only one tool in the market, okay? But actually you have hundreds of tools. Why? Because every business is a bit different from the other business. Even businesses that are running in the same sector, retailers, okay? You will, like in retail, okay? Not all retailers will be using the same solutions for everything. They will use multiple solutions. And again, it's all based on what they think their business will leverage more and what will give them better ROI.
But if I ask you specifically about retailers, because you spent a lot of time of your career working with retailers, what would be like the mistakes that you have seen when it comes to choosing the right CDP?
Okay, so the mistakes is starting with a CDP, not with a question, okay? Which means I want to have a CDP, okay? You don't start with what I want to do with my business. No, I want to introduce a tool to do a CDP for me. Okay, let's introduce a tool, okay? And then once you introduce the tool, you find yourself paying that much, okay? Like, your team is spending lots of time maintaining these tools, and then the outcome is you are waiting for someone to guide you how to use it. Okay, so this is not the right approach to start introducing a CDP or any other solution. Okay, another very common mistake, especially for enterprise retailers, they have multiple, let's say, departments, and each department will introduce their own tool. And then you end up having multiple tools, and although you have the same set of clients, okay, so you have maybe, let's say, you have your e-com business and you have your brick and mortar, your stores, your physical stores in malls and so on. And then this is run by one team and this is run by another team. And then every team is building their own infrastructure and their own, introducing their own solutions and so on. Although the customer for both are the same, okay? You can buy from Gap online, for example, or buy from the store directly, okay? Or you do both. Or you order from online and collect from store. So the need to have a centralized way to look at consumer is quite important here. Okay, so these are the two main challenges that I always see with retailers in CDP selection.
Okay, and also there's something in my mind that I always thought of, because I believe a lot of the tech providers, especially when it comes to the data solutions, they try to get clients as if they are getting them into a cult, meaning like especially the big ones.
Yes.
Like I don't want to mention names, but let's say like They provide you with solution A for X, solution B for another thing, solution C. And you find it's very, especially like if you're talking a use case such as personalization and CDP, you find it's very hard to move away from them because you become so dependent on them. So what do you think of that, and how should we approach it?
Yeah, this is a very big challenge, and it's a very good question. And I can also mention few names, but I will not. With the introduction of cloud, okay, the idea was to get out of this kind of practice, okay? So what does cloud provide to business is flexibility, okay? You don't need to think that much about, okay, I need this solution, and for this solution, I need this specific infrastructure. And once you get the infrastructure, it's a massive investment and you cannot get easily out of it, which means you have to stick with the solution. And then they start adding another solution and a third solution and fourth solution. And you find yourself building an empire from one vendor, okay? And it's very hard for your business to get out of it, okay? And this is something that's it's used to be a common practice, but with time, everyone started to figure out that it's not the right approach. Why? Because there is lots of vendors in the market that are specialized in a specific use case. For example, you talked about personalization, okay? Let's say you are stuck with one of those big vendors who provide everything, and they provide the personalization tool, but it's very basic, okay? While this provider or this vendor is having this amazing personalization tool, and you want to use it, but actually integrating it with your system is near to impossible because actually this vendor is not allowing you. So it's very important while you are building your own infrastructure and your own ecosystem to make sure that you are as flexible as possible and that you have full control. Okay, you can choose whatever you need. Okay, as of now, there is multiple vendors who are working with this aspect. Okay, they know that they cannot control a customer 100% anymore. They know that the customer needs are too big to be served by only one big vendor. Okay, so cloud is giving us this golden opportunity. Okay, and there's like lots of software as a services that are available, just plug and play. Okay, and the integration is not as challenging as it used to be because as of now the ecosystem is built in a way to allow this kind of coexistence of multiple vendors within the same customer portfolio.
I really like that you mentioned cloud. So Google Cloud versus Amazon AWS, which should we choose as a business?
Excellent question. I have my preference. Again, I will not share it.
No, please share it here.
Okay, my preference is AWS. And see, AWS is the first cloud. I think they started 2 years before Google. And so far, they are they hold the biggest market share in this. But this is not why I like AWS. I like AWS mostly because of their customer-centric support or their customer centricity overall. Okay, so you know that if anyone asked you what's the best customer support in the world, your answer would be Amazon, most likely. Okay, AWS actually having the same DNA. Okay, in addition to that, it fits very well with the concept that I'm telling you about. Okay, that I can run whatever tools I want to run in parallel. I don't have to commit everything to AWS. I can use AWS for this service and then use Google for another service and then use someone else for a third service and so on. Okay. However, if we go to what's my preference for businesses, whether to use AWS and Google, my answer would be, again, go back to the question. Okay. What do you want to achieve? Okay. What's your business goals? What are you trying to get out of both these? Okay. And what's your current ecosystem? Okay. Let's say you are working in marketing and you are using Google Analytics and Google Ads and Google Search and blah, 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 blah. This is your whole ecosystem. Then choosing AWS will not be like the right answer for you in that case because everything else is living in Google. So, okay, continue leveraging Google, okay? But if you are using multiple tools from multiple other vendors and like you need a way to collect all this data in one place and then you can consider AWS or you can consider other solutions. And again, do your own tests, okay? And find what's more suitable for your own use case and for your own team and for your own business.
Okay, but if I ask you to give me 3 disadvantages or cons of Google Cloud, what would you say from your experience?
Well, I cannot give like 3. Okay, I didn't work much with Google. I remember in my first project, which was actually migrating a data warehouse from on-premises to a data lake on the cloud. I evaluated 3 big players in the cloud, which is actually Microsoft, AWS, and Google. And during the evaluation, we ran the tests and the POC or the proof of concept with the 3 of them for a lengthy period of time, maybe around 2 months, where we evaluated cost, performance, simplicity, maintenance, everything. Scalability, lots of aspects were reviewed. And at that point of time, one of the key challenges that I had with Google was first their support. Okay, so Google is a massive organization. Okay, so they have, for example, Google Analytics, they have Google Cloud Platform, they have Google Ads, and unfortunately, each of those verticals or departments are standalone verticals within the organization. So if you are working with the Google Cloud Platform and you are using Google Analytics and you need support, they will tell you, no, find it through other team. We will not be able to help you. And this is quite challenging because when you work at this scale, you need to have this feeling that you have enterprise support. Okay, I'm working with Google. I'm expecting Google to support me in all my use cases. Okay, but no, you use one team for Google Cloud Platform, and then another team for Google Ads, and then for Google Analytics, you cannot even use Google. You have to use one of Google's partners in order to get the support you need. So this was the key challenge for me. Okay, the other point that I liked more about AWS is the flexibility. AWS might offer, in some cases, multiple tools and multiple solutions for the same problem, okay? Which gives you the leverage to choose even on the same platform from multiple solutions. You don't have to follow one way to do things, which gives you this, let's say, innovation aspect, okay? That you can actually, it's not about, not about just using, okay, we built this, so go and use it. No, we built all these components and you can build whatever you need with those components.
No, it makes sense. And honestly, the point of communication and support is very crucial because it's basically, especially for big retailers, when you talk about like being, basically they're a multi-billion-dollar business. And the fact is that you need this ownership from the vendor, not only the support, but you need to feel that there is ownership if we have a crisis situation, that you can reach out to them and they can act in a critical way or in a hurry way. So I guess, yeah, it's super important as well.
Yes.
And now, Khaled, if I asked you how can we build a data-driven culture within a business, like from your experience? Because that's sometimes a lot of data professionals that I have interacted with, that they feel that there is no value of their work because no one actually is using their work in a way.
Yes, this is a very good question and one of the key questions. So while building your own or while looking at your own organization, you need to build a culture of data-driven organization. And by data-driven, I mean you should always encourage people to ask questions. Okay, what does the data tell us? Why did we take this decision? What was the data backing us to take this decision? Okay, now we took this decision. How our business is performing against this decision? Show me the data, okay? So having the culture of always asking about the data, okay? Always ensuring that every decision is being backed by data is very important, very crucial, okay? And then the second point is actually engaging your data team in any project or let's say you are running a marketing campaign, okay? Don't wait for the marketing campaign to run for a few months and you already spent half your budget and then start asking data team to find how the the campaign is performing. Involve them from the start. Okay, this is what we are trying, how we can measure, how we can improve, how we can, all this is important. Having also, what I find to be very useful is having what we may call a translator role in your business. Someone who can translate between business and data. Okay, which we might call business analyst, okay, or business analytics, okay. So this guy is someone who understands business very well and knows data as well very well and can translate, okay, and hold him responsible for ensuring that business decisions are backed by data, and data is always ready for business to take decisions. All this can help you build this culture of data awareness and data-driven organization.
No, true, because honestly, the importance of building a culture to encourage asking questions, it's very important, especially around data, and to start and having this kind of critical mindset that, you know, you have to critique everything that you hear, you try to think it through, and feel free to question. This is actually what make people try to take insightful data decision, not just following the data blindly.
Yes, exactly. And this is, again, I always use the metaphor of a car, okay? So, for example, business is a driver of the car, okay? And then data is the fuel for the car. But then data team and maybe business analytics team is everything else, which is your gearbox, okay, that will decide what speed. Your engine, which will actually turn this fuel into a power that will move the car. Your steering wheel, which will allow you to take the direction you want to take, okay? So it's very key to understand how important data is for business. Like I remember maybe 10 years ago, there was the concept of data-driven businesses. It's not anymore. This is a given. If you are not data-driven, you are not in business anymore. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, cool. No, thank you, Khaled. This was so insightful. And thank you, everyone. If you're watching till this end, let us know what do you think of the episode. And if there is any topic you want to hear more about me with Khaled, leave it in the comment. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Reach for growth, reach for more. Performance marketing hardcore. Tune in, listen.